Welcome back to Purple and Gold Zone. We are on episode number seven. Wow, seven. I've been consistent enough for 7 episodes. That's quite the shocker. I'm not usually Mr. Consistency, so I'm shocked. But no, hey, I guess I am with this show, and that's all that matters. But bringing you guys Lakers news, Lakers action, Lakers top fives, Lakers highlights, Lakers lowlights, anything Lakers expect to see on this show. Speaking of that, I am in the process of trying to lock in a potential interview. So there will be interviews on this show. Be expecting that in the near future. But in the meantime, before we go to that, I want to plug a couple other projects. I have a show, another NBA show. It is not just Lakers specific, it is a complete league show. It is called Well Beyond the Arc. As I record, it is Monday, January, I don't know the date, 23rd. And our show is every Tuesday. Right now we're bi-weekly because of schedules, but mostly every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30. You can expect to see us live Central Time. So tune in Tuesdays, 6:30 to 7:30 to see Well Beyond the Arc. We talk about everything. We talk about league news. We have games. We have different weekly segments. It's awesome. Check it out. And then my co-host Manoli has a blog called the Sports Page blog. I think last time I said the sports blog page. I don't know. I made sure to put it in the comments on my YouTube and fix it. But it is the Sports Page blog, and it is great. You'll find so many great things. And speaking of Well Beyond the Arc, it is on the Yankee and the Brit YouTube channel. You can find so many great shows. You can find NFL shows, MMA shows, our show, and you can also find documentaries. There is a documentary that was just released that has over 4,000 views. It blew up. It's incredible. If you are into anything with mobs, mafia, anything like that, me personally, I started The Sopranos, and this is the perfect documentary for me because I've always been interested in anything to do with mobs, mafia, all that. So it's really interesting. So check that out specifically. There's documentaries, there's sports shows, there's news, there's interviews. Check it out. Yankee and the Brits YouTube channel is blowing up, and let's help that grow. And then my other project is the Connor and Heffernan Show. We are a weekend show. We are also kind of bi-weekly, not really set on a schedule. We just released an episode last weekend with some wild card predictions. And I'm going to be honest, couple of them were pretty accurate, but some of them I was a little bit off. I picked the Jags. Yikes. But anyways, so check that out. And then we are doing an episode this coming Saturday on the divisional, good Lord, the conference championships, excuse me. So AFC and NFC championship, we're going to do a little prediction video that's going to be released most likely either Saturday night or Sunday morning. And that is all on the Connor and Heffernan Show YouTube channel, the same channel Purple and Gold Zone is on. Be sure to check all that out. But with that, let's get right into Lakers basketball, baby. I'm excited. Let's go. So, we are looking at a rivalry week. If you are someone who likes to read the title of episodes, which not everybody is, then you already saw that we're talking rivalry week. And we have to be talking about two teams, the Los Angeles Flippers and the Boston Celtics. So, two pretty big rivalries. And then, of course, we've got the Nets, which I would not say is a rivalry, but it's a pretty big matchup because Kyrie Irving's on that team. Kevin Durant, obviously, with injury and other things, is not completely on that team at the moment. But that is still a game that I would say is more of a current rivalry. But those two rivalry games are the Clippers and the Celtics. Thank God we have the Spurs in between. That's kind of our buffer game, as I'd like to call it. But it's definitely big to have those two games in the same week. But when we look at these games individually, looking at the Clippers, they are currently sixth in the West, coming off of a win against the Mavs, 112-98. A pretty solid win for this team. Honestly, they have been a pretty up and down team. Even though they're sitting sixth, I don't think they've looked as good as some people hoped that they would. Fans have been given pretty lackluster games and lackluster seasons from them because they'll perform decently well, but it's very erratic. It's very all over the place. You know, Kawhi Leonard is back, and he's playing pretty well. You know, he's having a pretty good season as he does, but his numbers have, they've looked pretty solid. I mean, he's having pretty good scoring numbers. He's putting up, career numbers, but the Clippers as a team do not look good enough to get it done long term, but they still look good enough to beat the Lakers. Let's be honest. I hate saying this. This hurts. It's like a knife in my freaking heart right now. You guys have no idea. The Clippers To me, it's a bigger rivalry than the Celtics because of the location. We are literally in the same building. All right, this is the little brother, the annoying little brother who eats all the damn pizza. He eats all the damn pizza. All right, he's always watching the TV. He's always having friends over when it's supposed to be our time. This is the annoying little brother. That's who the Clippers are. Thank God they're getting their own arena. They don't have to be the little brother that lives in the basement. But they're annoying. They're an annoying team. They've been an annoyance, and they've had more success than us regular season wise the last 4 years. We have a championship on them, but let's be honest. They have been more consistent. They have made the playoffs more than we have the last 5 years, and they have just looked like a better team. So I hate saying it, but they've definitely had more regular season success. Postseason's a different story. It always is, but regular season they've had more success. Now the Lakers of course have kind of ramped up their play as well. They're looking a lot better. They're coming off of a really big win over the Trailblazers, a comeback win, and they're currently sitting 12th. They've moved up a spot since our last episode, and they're really close. They're one game off of that top 10. So they're right in plan. They're right there. They're really close to 500. They're 4-6-8 right now. I mean, they're really not that far back. They're 6-4 in their last 10. That's really not bad. They're on a 2-game win streak, but the Clippers are playing better basketball overall. The Clippers as a team, in my opinion, just look like a team that will probably be able to get it done against the Lakers. The Clippers have struggled some, but the Lakers have struggled more. So I have the Clippers beating the Lakers in a hard-fought Battle of LA-esque game, 115-105. It's a 10-point game. It's not anything crazy. It's not like a blowout, but it's definitely a game that they're going to walk away with. But then we look at the Spurs, and let's be honest, this Spurs team, the Lakers are night and day better than this Spurs team. I'm not even going to waste the time explaining why, explaining who we have, explaining who they have, explaining records. It doesn't matter. The Lakers are a far better team. That is not a challenge for us. I absolutely have this Lakers team walking away with that game 110-95. That is a 110-95 type of performance. It's going to be a big one. And then we move on to the Celtics, and that's an interesting matchup in my opinion. To me, it is momentum off of this Spurs game. We're coming off of a loss to the Clippers. I think the Celtics team, while they are definitely a better team than the Lakers, I honestly think that it doesn't really matter who we are, when we are, how we are. This is a team that I think we would be able to pull it out against. But the biggest concern here is the Celtics have been going on a tear. They have been looking really, really nice, and they are looking like a team that is dangerous. They're on a 9-game win streak. They're 9-1 in their last 10. It's looking like this is the team in the East that is by far the best at the moment. I mean, they've kind of solidified that spot. They're 5 games ahead of number 2. So, unfortunately, I've got to be that fan. I've got to be that cynic. I got to be a little bit realistic, even, I'll say. And even though I think the Lakers have a shot, I've got the Celtics coming away with this game, and I have it being by a little bit of a higher margin. I have them walking away with it 120-102. I have us kind of getting the brakes beat off of us just because I don't really see us having the firepower to keep up with that team, because a lot of even the top teams have not been able to. And then we look at the Nets. The Nets are an interesting team because they've had more success than the Lakers, obviously, and they've had more success as of late. They're fourth in the East, and they just look a lot better. They're right behind the Bucks, and they're right behind the 76ers. I mean, they're not that far back. They're 1 game back from 2, and they're tied for 3rd. So this Nets team, say what you want, but they look great. But I think this Lakers team, their depth is there, and there's a potential that we're going to have a certain player that might be back that we're going to talk about next that could potentially shift all the likelihoods of this game. But I think the biggest likelihood is he would be back by this game. And I don't want to name drop, guys. You have no idea who I'm talking about, who is always getting injured, who is out right now, who could help us win. I'm not going to name drop. Guys, seriously, I do not want to spoil the surprise. The next segment could not be any more secretive. But there is a player who will remain nameless, who could come back and change the likelihood. But I don't see him realistically being back until this game anyway, so it doesn't change the likelihood, in my opinion, of the first few games. But even without him, I think we're a better team. We've got depth. I think we got him. So I've got the Lakers beating the Nets. Not beating the brakes off of them. All right, we beat the brakes off of one team, and that's the Spurs. This is not the Spurs. I have us winning an overtime matchup 122 to 116. So I think it's going to go to OT, but I think it's going to be a decently low scoring game because 116 to 122 in OT, it's not super high scoring if that's where we're at once we get to OT. And then looking at the final game of that 5-game stretch, we've got the Knicks. And come on, it's the Knicks. The Knicks are, I mean, I've said they're the Lakers of the East in the sense of we're always having all these rumors about players that we're getting, we're not getting, whatever. But you got to give them some respect. They're currently sitting 7th. They had a really nice run 2 seasons ago, I believe, and then last season they were back to being the Knicks. So seeing them be in that top 10, it's fine. It's kind of nice because they're a historic team, and as another historic team that doesn't always have success, it's important to see that. Yeah, it's whatever. It's fine. But it's the Knicks. It's the New York Knicks. All right, we are not the Knicks. You know, they just got the living hell beat out of them by the Hawks, and then the Raptors took advantage of them right after that, and then the Wizards took advantage of them before that, and then you've got the Raptors beating them again before that. Their last win was against the Pistons on, again, it wasn't like it was that long ago, it was January 15th, but your last win was the Pistons, and it was by 13 points. The Pistons are night and day the worst team, one of the worst teams. They're right there with the Rockets. Those are 2 teams that are literally the worst. The Pistons are the worst in their division and the worst in their conference, and you're beating them by 13. It's the Pistons. It's a 13-point win over the worst team. They're not that team. They look pretty good. The East is obviously really competitive, but it's the New York Knicks. I don't think that there'll be a problem for the Los Angeles Lakers. Again, this is a hint. I'm not giving anything away, guys. You have no idea who I'm talking about. It could be anyone on the team. But there's a player that's been out with injury who's coming back. And if we have him, the Knicks don't have a prayer. So even if that's his first game back, even if that's very well could be his first game back, I think we've got that game either way. On the off chance that he does not come back, I think we still have that game. I think we'll walk away with that one 115 to 103. That I think will be that score, not a blowout, but enough of a big win that it shows and that it boosts us up. And of course, that would only bring us closer to 500 and would just bring us closer to being that team. I actually believe I believe that would be the turning point for the team if we could go on that run. And even though we're dropping some of the, those rivalry games, those big ones, I think that we'd still win, 3 out of 5, which is great. That's over 50%. That's huge. And, of course, there also is a chance that anything could change. I mean, I'm going to start actually keeping track of my predictions. I think I've said that about every single episode. But I'm actually going to start doing a prediction counter. And even if we don't always talk about how many games so far into the future, how I think they're going to go this or that, even if I don't give predictions, I'm going to start doing that weekly counter and making sure that I am actually staying on top of how accurate my predictions are. So we will be doing that. One point will be for weekly. I'll just do points. It's going to be a point system. 1 point will be for correct win-loss, prediction, and then 2 points if I get the score correct. So that'll be how we go, and I'll be keeping track of that. But moving on, the surprise segment that nobody knows. Guys, this is coming out of nowhere. No one has any idea. I bet no one else has even talked about this. Let me see if you guys can guess what we're talking about next. So moving right on, I'm sure you guys know, especially if you're a Lakers fan, even if you're not, you probably know if you're a fan of the league. And if you're not, let me tell you right now, Mr. Glassman, Mr. Anthony Davis, went down with that foot injury in December, obviously went on a tear. I think it was episode 3 or 4. It was like AD for MVP. And I said, nah, not quite yet, because he's probably going to get injured again. And oh, wait, look, within the same month and a half, he's down again. So down with a foot injury. Little concerned, obviously, but how can we be that concerned when this is just the norm? It's kind of losing its level of it's kind of like, well, here he goes again. I mean, seriously, it sucks to say that, and I don't want to act and say that I think about a person like that and I expect it, especially as a fan of him. But what else are we supposed to do? It's what we see, it's what we know. I mean, he's getting injured left and right. He's had so many injuries. I went through and did the math, and I don't remember now because that was for a former episode idea that I never did because I don't want to get too grim and, whatever, like, oh, screw the Lakers on you guys. I mean, screw the Lakers sometimes, but sometimes it's not screw the Lakers. So I didn't want to go that route and go down that rabbit hole. But what I do want to say is we have played pretty well without Anthony Davis. Honestly, we've even played decently well without LeBron when LeBron has gone down a couple of times. It's better than it was last year, night and day difference. But in order to win, we need a player of Anthony Davis's caliber with LeBron, not just with LeBron, but with that team. So if that's AD, great. If it's not, at least we need to see that and start addressing that. And I think if Anthony Davis comes back in and is injured before All-Star break, I kind of think that's our answer because I believe that is under, I don't know when All-Star break is. I know it's in February. I don't even know who. I mean, LeBron's obviously going to be in it, but besides him, I doubt we'll see anyone else on the Lakers. I haven't looked into the voting of that, but we'll do an All-Star break episode eventually with All-Star Lakers stuff. But that's neither here nor there. I think if he goes down before then that is kind of our sign, in my opinion, that it's like, okay, we need to figure out what's next. We need to figure out who we can get for him. What's the stock? And you can build up a team without trading him or without losing him. But I just think it's really important. So is it a relief? Sort of, kind of. I mean, the news in and of itself isn't even that clear. It's just that he's been back. He's scrimmaging. There was a scrimmage that was within the last 24 hours where, Ham says he looks really good. He looks ready, and they expect him to join them on this road trip. So this isn't something where it's blowing smoke and it's me sitting here trying to build up false hope. Like, this is truly something that is expected and hoped. It's very much something that I think fans are excited, but there's a level of uncertainty, but it's good that he's at least healed that quickly because I mean I think he went down on the 16th potentially, and so it almost has been a quick, not quite a quick, not obviously a weekly or 2 weeks or even a month, but it's been something that's been under like 3, 4, 5, like it's looking decent. I don't think it's a big injury for him. I think he's had far bigger injuries and he's still bounced back. So I think that he could have a nice bounce back. I'm hopeful. Do I expect to see him before that Nets game? No. And that's why I didn't give them those games as wins. And even if you have Anthony Davis back, you have to understand Anthony Davis is a player that starts out really cold. Once he comes back from injuries, even if he goes on tears like he has, he'll start out pretty cold and then he'll heat up gradually. It's going to take him some time to heat up. We're not going to get all-star Anthony Davis back right away. We're going to get very quick, burst, short, probably spans of minutes to start with, because you do have Thomas Bryant, you do have Gabriel, you do have guys that can cover certain things that you do, not as well as you can, obviously, but still, I mean, you have guys that can be pretty consistent and have been pretty consistent. So at the end of the day, it's not make it or break it. And I don't think rushing him back and getting him full on minutes would be good in either way. So even if he comes back against the Nets, he's probably not going to have a full slate of minutes. So I would rather him come back against the Nets with minutes like that. I would rather him come back in a game like that where it's like it's important, it's big, but it's not the Clippers, it's not the Celtics, it's not, those are maybe not the games to bring him back in if you're looking at it longevity wise. Storybook wise, yeah, bring him back in the rival games, have him go off, oh, he saves the day, but it's like, let's be realistic. I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm hopeful, I'm happy. I do think we'll see him within the next 2 weeks. Is it a lock that we'll see him this week? No, it's not a lock we'll see him this week. But by the next Purple and Gold Zone, we'll probably be analyzing his play and seeing where he's at. So I'm excited. I'm super, super pumped for the possibility of adding that depth, and I'm hopeful. DeMarcus Cousins obviously was worked out, and so was Myers Leonard. But I've heard both workouts went really well, but nothing has changed, nothing has shifted. So I don't know if it will per se, but I think it could still. So, I'll be looking for that. But we are kind of doing a different show. It's going to be a little bit quicker of a show today. This show is really as long as it needs to be. Not every week is going to be, an hour, 45 minutes. Some might be shorter, some might be longer. So we only have one more segment today, but it is a segment that I've been wanting to do, but I have not felt like it's been appropriate to do till now. We are doing a player grade for every single Lakers player on the roster. I'm going to kind of break down stats or lack thereof for a lot of them and kind of go into my letter grade. They're going to get an A plus to an F minus, and let's kind of do a letter grade. It's going to be kind of fun. So for the last segment of this episode, we are going to be going over a player grade and a little breakdown for each Lakers player. Well, the only way to really start this off is on a good note. And as I'm recording this, this is actually crazy. This has never happened. This is why I'm always ready, always looking for news, even while I'm recording episodes. There is a trade that is currently going on, and thank the Lord, we are trading track star Kendrick Nunn. I call him track star because so far that man has been running track for the Los Angeles Lakers. I did not know that the Los Angeles Lakers team was also looking for members just to run up and down the court. I don't know if it's just get the guys hyped up or what that was, but pretty much Kendrick Nunn came in last season. I was really hype. I was really hopeful. He did not formulate last season because of injuries, but he looked pretty decent in preseason, and I was like, it's his time to shine. It's our spark plug player. And again, I was not under the impression that we were looking for track stars, but that's exactly what he was just running laps, running up and down, running lines. It didn't work out. So we are trading Kendrick Nunn and 3 second-round picks for Rui Hachimura. He is currently a forward for the Washington Wizards, who is literally coming off of, within the last week, a 30-point performance. He had 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Within the season, he has had 13 points, 4.3 rebounds, 1 assist, 0.04 steals, 0.04 blocks. So Rui Hachimura is a really young player. He's only 24. He was in that 2019 draft. He's that 9th pick. This is big for the Lakers. We need a forward. We need growth for the team. We need to get out of the slump that we're in. And I'm sorry, no hate to Kendrick Nunn. Thank God I can take him out of the player rankings because I'm going to say right now, he was one of the players with an F. So he's spared himself an F. And let's just hope that maybe it was the system, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. I'm hoping that he has a better career and more success in Washington, but it's Washington, so really how could he? I mean, I hope he gets used to winning, some of the games, maybe making the playoffs and not having all that much success, but no hate to Wizards fans. I've got no hate. Just not a lot of success down in Washington for basketball. But it's all good. It is what it is. Maybe he'll help change the culture. He sure as hell did not do that for us. But anyways, all good. See you later, Kendrick Nunn. Hello, Rui Hachimura. Thank you in advance because I've got a great feeling about you. The best thing about him is 2 things. 1, his position. It adds depth to a position. We need depth at. And 2, he's young. We need young guys. We need young stars. That will give LeBron, I think, a sense of hope for the future. And that's what Lakers fans, if they are wanting to keep LeBron, need. So since we have him now, he has not played for us yet, but I am going to give this pickup. We'll reevaluate. Don't you worry. We'll reevaluate. We'll have to reevaluate. A player pickup of this size and this potential, we're going to have to look at it. Also, the fact that he went 0 for 7 against the Knicks a couple days before that 30-point performance and 0 for 6 from 3. That we may need to talk about. That we might need to look at that again. But at the moment, if I'm rating this pickup, I'm giving it a C+, and I'm giving it a C+ because that is not the rating I'm going to give him as he's playing. That is just the pickup rating. We will reevaluate and give him a playing rating once he has played for the Lakers and had enough time to get set in the system. But I've got to give that pickup a C+. I cannot give it any lower. I almost can give it a B, but I'm going to stick with C+, but I've got to give it a C+, because Rui, welcome to the purple and gold. Let's go. But that being said, let's look at some of the players that we've had and that we've seen on the court in the purple and gold, not just players that we're picking up. So I've got to start with no surprise at the leader of the team. It's LeBron James, of course. I didn't have to show you this picture for y'all to know who it is and who I was probably going to start with. But I got to start with my boy LeBron. As you guys know, I wasn't really rocking with him early in the season. I definitely have kind of shifted my view of him because he's shifted the way I think he has played, and like his intentions are more clear to me at this moment. Now, if you're Shannon Sharp, you're rocking with him 365 days a year and 366 on a leap year. So you've been rocking with him. But if you're me, you are not so sure as a Lakers fan. Um, I would say that LeBron has given us a lot as Lakers fans, but to me, he's also left a lot to be desired. And some of that, my frustration is due to the fact that he's very narrative driven and it's shown. And at the beginning of the season, I thought that we were seeing that, but I will say he has shown that he is committed and he is fully ready to take on the challenge of bringing another team to the playoffs and specifically bringing this Lakers team back to glory. And that's great. When we look at his stats, he is putting up 29.8 points per game in 36 minutes, 8.5 rebounds, 6.9 assists, and one steal on top of point 0.6 blocks. That is really, really, really solid. I mean, he is looking great. He is right on those numbers that he was putting up last season. He's actually having more success, and it's showing, especially in the assist category. He is actually having more success in his assists this season, and that shows that he's getting more Lakers players involved. He has more help, he has more support. So his assist numbers going up to me is great. His rebound numbers have gone up. His minutes numbers have gone down, but it's not by much. Unfortunately, I don't like that 36 minutes. That's just who he is and who he has been throughout his career. But you can tell that his minutes were on the lower end. That season, the seasons Anthony Davis has been healthier, his minutes have been a little bit smaller, or at least in different bursts. So when Anthony Davis is injured, he kind of has to pick up the slack, and I'm not a big fan of that. But he's been having a great season, and it's been showing not just in the stats category, but in the win category. So I've got to give my boy LeBron James some love at this moment because he has been showing up and showing out. His last performance, he had 37 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks in a comeback win against the Trailblazers. I got to give my boy an A. I can't go A plus quite yet. If the streak continues, he'll earn that, but I got to give him an A. I've got to give him 100% an A this season. He has been putting up an A performance. I know some of y'all are still shocked to see this man's face on this roster. People were ready to give up on him before the season started. People were ready to give up on him last season before the season started. Now, I will say a lot of fans did give him a shot, and that just did not work out. But, I mean, this man did not have y'all didn't give him a chance this season. I will admit he looked pretty bad preseason, and there was some animosity. And again, whatever, I got it. I can understand where people are coming from, but come on. This man has done so much for this Lakers team. Oh, Ham can't coach. Well, Ham's the first guy to get through to Westbrook and to fully get him to understand who he could be if he changes his perspective. And look where he's at now. Could Westbrook be starting for a team and have higher stat lines? Yeah. I mean, his stat line is lower than last season, but that's because he's playing less minutes and he's off the bench. That's the whole thing. He's off the bench. He's not starting. His numbers are going to go down regardless, but his numbers are still looking great. He's 15.9 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, 7.6 assists, 1 steal, and .05 blocks. His numbers, his assist numbers have gone up. His defensive numbers have gone up or stayed consistent. His 3-point has gone down, but he's had some better looks, and I will say he's not shooting as many as he was last season, at least so far, in my opinion. He's been putting up great numbers. He obviously, fans wanted him gone even during the season, but now I think the vibe is more only give him up if we can get something great back, which is very possible. If there's a situation where we can only give him up to get them back, I'm sure that will happen. But as a whole, I think he's pretty secure, and he has just kind of turned his Los Angeles situation around. So I've got to give my friend a B plus for that. He has absolutely earned himself a B plus. Here's another man y'all didn't think you were going to see again, or maybe at all. I mean, out of sight, out of mind. This was the man that turned down an offer from the Lakers. A lot of people were hoping we might not see him again. There was a lot of clowning done on him, and rightfully so. I mean, he turned down an opportunity, ended up going to Celtics. Obviously, that didn't work out, and look where he is back now. But I don't look at it like that. I look at it like, thank God he's home, because this was another moment of the Lakers almost losing a really big high point in the last few years for them. But this would not have been on them. This was on him. I will give it. I will say management tried to give him, I'd say, a fair, great offer, and he turned that down. So it's on him. But still, it was unfortunate to see him go. Since he has been back, he has been very solid. He's been a great player. I mean, he has put up some great performances. Um, the thing I will say about him is he is a player that is not the most consistent. He's kind of hot and cold, but he is hot and cold in the sense that he will, even when he's cold, he will still impact the game in a positive way. For example, against the Kings on January 18th, obviously we dropped that game, and he only had 5 points, no rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. That's not very good. That's not a performance that will get it done, and obviously it did not get it done. But then we look at his performance against the Grizzlies, a bounce back performance the next game. 19 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 block. And then Trailblazers, he's on fire. He heats up and then he's hot. 24 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal. When he heats up, he's on fire. When he's cold, he's cold. But again, I mean, he can help even when he's not super hot. Against the Mavs, of course, that wasn't the best ending. That wasn't the game we wanted. But he had 6 assists and 4 rebounds, even though he only had 7 points and was 3 for 13. So he can make an impact even when they lose and even when he has not great performances. But there's a trend. When the Lakers are winning, it's usually Schroeder putting up a big performance. I don't really like the fact that it's very hot and cold, and it's kind of like you really have to guess almost. But when we look at him now as opposed to when he was a Laker before, his numbers are all down. I mean, they're all down from where he was before. But in the same sense, his minutes have dropped a bit as well. He's only hitting that 29.9, and he was over 30 when he played for the Lakers before. Part of that is, Westbrook. They're doing a good job of figuring out the minutes and formulating what's best for the team. But he's a high point for sure, and I'm glad we have him back. And I think that's a player that we will retain and we will have going forward. And I got to give my man Schroeder, I've got to give him a B. He's been putting up. I mean, even when he's cold, still he's that guy. So I got to give my boy Dennis Schroeder that B rating. Ooh, if you know me, you already know what I'm gonna say. He's a runner. He's a track star. No, seriously though, for real. That sounded awful, but in a sense, he is. He's a runner. He's a track star. He's a talker. All right? He's a runner, he's a talker, he's a dancer. He does it all. I mean, this man does it all. Get him on Dancing with the Stars. Let's get this man on Dancing with the Stars. Forget the NBA. I want to see him on Dancing with the Stars. Just give me Patrick Beverley on Dancing with the Stars, and I will watch that show. I got a grandmother. She lives in Colorado, and one of my fondest memories being up at her place and watching Dancing with the Stars. I've not watched it since, but I will watch it again. Get my man Patrick Beverley on Dancing with the Stars. Can we get that going? Let's start that trend. Because he sure as hell is not doing anything as a Laker. Good lord. 5 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, zero point 0.8 steals, 0.6 blocks, but 26 minutes. 26 minutes. But Patrick Beverley gave a halftime talk against the Trailblazers, and it brought them back. Oh, whatever, bro. Okay, yeah. But LeBron can do that. I mean, they've got leaders. They've got people. I respect it, and I will admit, I saw, I think it was the Kevin Hart. I'm not a big Kevin Hart guy, but the short jokes are fine, but it just gets a little old after a while. But I do think that he's a decently funny guy, and I think that he has some really good conversations in that. I think it's the cold tub thing. I don't know. Anyways, I saw the Patrick Beverley segment, and I get why he gets so emotional and works so hard and all of that, but it doesn't excuse from the fact that he hasn't done anything for us, and we're giving him. I mean, he has 26 minutes, and that's all he's putting up. And what I would like to say is, again, some players are just that's who they are, but we've seen him have more success with less minutes. I'm going to go through last season. He had less minutes than he has for the Lakers, and he put up over plus 4 points, plus one rebound, plus two, assists, plus an entire steal, and almost plus an entire block. So he put up more and less. On the Clippers, same thing. It's less, but it's still more than what he's put up with the Lakers. The Lakers, he is having an all time low career with the Lakers. Literally, he's having a career low with the Lakers. That is a trend that seems to happen. I don't want to completely say it's his fault. I think the Lakers have had a problem finding their brand as a team, but I just don't think he's the guy. I think he's a runner. He's a track star. He should go on Dancing with the Stars. Get him on Food Network. I don't know. Get him cooking with Bobby Flay. I don't anything other than being a Laker. I don't. It's no disrespect, but he needs to be put in a trade package within this season. I don't care that you're getting us hyped up to come back against a team we should beat anyway. It's not going to carry over. So no real hate to him, no disrespect really to him, but I don't want to see him on the roster for come March. I don't think he should be on the roster still. So got to give my man a D. He's earned it. Congratulations, Patrick Beverley. You've earned some type of career accolade, and that would be a D in my Lakers letter grade segment. But no, in all honesty, he plays hard. He's kind of misunderstood, but he's also not. It's what's not misunderstood is the fact that he's not probably taken the most serious, and should he be? I mean, he's not really that. He's not that big of a force. He's a lot of bark with a little bit of bite. So I got to give him a D, and I'm hoping that he is off the team by the next time we do one of these. I owe this man an apology. This is a different type of I was wrong because I did think Kendrick Nunn might make a difference. I did think that maybe Patrick Beverley would make a difference. I was never very sold on him, but Thomas Bryant, I roasted. I said he's not worth the pick of. This is not someone we should have. This is not that player, but I was wrong. 31 points and 14 rebounds to help us beat the Trailblazers. How could that not be it? How could he not be him? That is huge. So I would say that that's big, and that's just one of the many performances he's strung along, since, especially since AD has been out, where he has taken responsibility for that role and helped us win. Now, he's missed some crucial rebounds, he's missed some crucial points, but he's still young. I mean, that's a 25-year-old guy who has had his own fair share of injuries and not been super consistent. So, again, another player that I never thought I'd see in the purple and gold again. He didn't really have that long of a stint, obviously, in the purple and gold, but he was in the purple and gold before, and now he is really in the purple and gold. So he's been averaging 12.9 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, zero point 0.8 assists, zero point 0.4 steals, and zero point 0.6 blocks on the season. Really solid. I mean, the kid's been playing great. Again, I think he'll complement AD once AD is back. That'll just be a compliment to AD's game. And when we look at his numbers, this is his best season. He's having a career year. I think that especially on the offensive side of the ball, Thomas Bryant's having a career year. So I'm super glad we have him, and I think that's a player that will start building into that pool of retainment. I don't even know if that's a real word, but I'm making it one. Let's go. We're making new words out here. I don't know. Maybe it is. You know what? I got my computer right here. Hold up, folks. I gotta prove to myself that I know what I'm talking about. Let's go. Retainment. It gave me a definition. I don't know if it's a real word, but it gave me a definition. This is some Words with Friends Scrabble bullshit. Oh, excuse my language. Um, no, but seriously, this is some Scrabble. I mean, I didn't know that was real. But there we go. Retainment. He will be in our retainment pool because I think he's that guy. So I got to give my boy Thomas Bryant a B. Before I start going off more and cursing more, I'm gonna stop there. But I got to give my man a B because he's been cranking it up, and I wouldn't be shocked if when we do another one of these later in the season, he even earns himself an A if he keeps it up. So keep it up, Thomas Bryant. It's showing, man. Look at the win column. We're seeing it. So I got to give him a B. Mr. Magic Man. Now you see him, now you don't. Lonnie Walker. Now I will say this, Mr. Walker has been another player that it's hard to give him a complete grade because he's missed a lot of time with an injury. But when he is playing, he's the Magic Man because it is still sometimes you see him, sometimes you don't. As most as most of the time we can say he's pretty solid. Most of the time we can say that. As of that, we can say that pretty consistently. But there's those games where we can say, holy crap, first of all, where did he go? Second of all, who is he? This isn't the player that. No, it's not the same. So it's tough because we can say, yeah, okay, most of the time he's giving us what we need, but we need it all of the time. And a player that can have those big games, you need to have those consistently. So the injury takes off a little bit for me, and then also his back and forth magic man takes off some for me. So I'm not going to waste the breath. I think he's a talented kid. I think he's super solid. I think that he could be a spark plug, especially come playoffs, but I gotta give him a C minus because that injury, of course, not his fault, but still a factor, and then also his Magic Man act, it gets a little old. So C minus, but still all love over here. Another player that is uber talented but injured, but he is not Magic Man. He is actually the opposite. This is the guy that shows up. All right, this is the guy that shows up and shows out. Seriously, this is it. This is if consistency and if efficiency and if there was a big hope for this Lakers team, it's Austin Reeves. And y'all don't want to admit that, but this is the future. This kid is the future because the way he is exactly what the Lakers need. Of course, he's out with an injury. Whatever. I'm not going to judge a player off of that, obviously. But when we talk about how he's performed, he's had a really nice season when he's been in. 10.8 points per game, 3.1 assists per game, 2.2 rebounds per game, zero point 0.6 steals, zero point 0.4 blocks. Um, his field goal percentage is 48.8 and his three is 36. He's by far the Laker that's had a lot of success, or the only really success from three consistently has been Austin Reeves. That's been the theme. That was how it was last year. I mean, the fact of the matter is he's been him, but he's injured. He's out. But I mean, this season he's improved everything. I mean, his numbers have all gone up. So to me, he's only going up. He's on the up and up. He's one of those young players. He's a Caruso type of guy. And no, we have not gotten Caruso or Kuzma. I promise you guys will be the first to know. But we've not, he's been that young guy that those two were also looked at as. I mean, he is that guy. So I think that only only hope and only consistency from him going forward. But with that injury, of course, it knocks it down a little bit. But because he's been consistent, and I do believe he'll bounce back, I'm gonna give him a B. I'm gonna sit him right at B because he definitely is that guy, and I think that he is definitely someone who should be looked at in a serious light. So I've got to give him a B, and hopefully when he comes back, he'll just continue that performance and bring that up to an A. I totally believe he will. And now we get into Troy Brown Jr., which is an interesting pickup. It's an interesting player. Definitely talented, has had some games. 6.9 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, zero point 0.8 assists, zero point 0.8 steals, zero point 0.2 blocks. You know, his minutes have increased, and so his stats luckily have also increased for the most part. Other than assist numbers, his stats have increased. His from three, he's 35.3. I mean, that's literally the exact same he was at last season for three when he was a Bull. So that's good. I mean, he's consistent. He's one of our more consistent shooters. But again, this is a player that I don't look as the future of the team. I think he's kind of one of those plug and play players that the Lakers have brought in, and it's okay to have some of them. I don't know for sure. Maybe he will fit long term, but I just don't see that. And because of some of that lack of, I don't think he's super long term. I don't see him super big picture, so I give him a C. He's put up decent performances, but he's still, in my eyes, only a C. Next, we've got Juan Toscano Anderson coming off of a really successful run with the Warriors. I think there was some hope that just having championship caliber mentality, and like it's in his DNA now. He's won a championship, regardless of what people would say his impact was. I would argue and say that his impact was actually pretty large. I mean, his numbers weren't that big, but he had a pretty large impact as a member of the Warriors, and we saw him grow, and he started as a Warrior, and to see him win that after that tough start with that, how unsuccessful they were. It's cool, but I'm not a big fan of that pickup, and I never really was. I was excited a little bit because of the championship aspect, but he has not done that much since he has been on the team. He's 2.9 points, 2.1 rebounds, zero point 0.9 assists, zero point 0.4 steals, zero point 0.3 blocks. And his minutes, they've dropped slightly since when he was a Warrior. So that point drop makes a little bit of sense, and the others are not super big drops, but it's enough to where, I mean, he's not really giving us what we need in the sense of a roster spot. We need a roster spot that's filled with a player that's actually going to give us bigger performances than that, because it's not anything against him and his game. What he provides is great, but I just think that we're a team that needs a little more than just bottom tier role players. And he's young, and he could still figure. I mean, he's not super young, but I mean, he's only 29, so still he can have a plenty successful career. But that's another player that I kind of hope we move. I got to give him a D. Again, I don't want to hate on him, and I respect him as a champion, but I got to give him a D. And I hope that that's one player that I'm hoping we move, because maybe he'll find a better situation, and I know we will. Coming up next, we've got Wenyen Gabriel. It's a another pretty interesting pickup in my opinion. Not the worst pickup we could have gotten. Again, he has had some games where he's looked pretty solid. He's only 25 years old. He's another player that has that decently high field goal percentage, and pretty high 3-point percentage. He's right at that 36, so that right there is nice to see, because we don't have consistency even from the people you'd expect us to. So, he's 6.6 points, 4.1 rebounds, zero point 0.5 assists, zero point 0.4 steals, zero point 0.7 blocks. Not bad, honestly. Not bad stats. He looks decent. He's had his moments where he's been a pretty decent part of the organization, and he's matching his best from when he was formerly a Laker. So he's had his most success as a Laker. This is a player that has also been a Laker before. People forget that. This was a plug and play that is making its return, and it almost feels like maybe this is not a plug and play. Maybe this will be a long-term player. It's too early to tell. I can't give him more than a C plus because he's not performed more than a C plus in my opinion, but he still gets a C plus because he has done a lot more than he hasn't. So I've got to give him a C plus, and I'm thinking that this could be a player we retain, and maybe a player that continues to better themselves and better their play style throughout the season. Looking at our next player, we'll be looking at Damian Jones, another player that is very much plug and play. It feels very plug and play. When we first got him, it was very plug and play, but it's a player that has stuck around and potentially could be a successful member of at least the bench. But, I mean, looking at what he's done so far, 2.9 points, 2.8 rebounds. He's had 8 minutes. It's only 8 minutes. Again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like 8 minutes is a lot, especially for basketball. But his numbers have drastically dropped. His minutes have dropped by about 10 minutes from when he was a King. But I'm not super thrilled with his performance. I don't think that it's even so much his minutes, as opposed to, I don't think he really fits the Lakers system, and I think we need more than what we're getting from him. So this is another roster spot I kind of hope we get someone else out of, and I've got to give him a D plus. I've got to give him plus because he's had some okay performances, but in my eyes, it's time to kind of find those pieces, and he's not one of them. So I've got to give him a D plus. So that kind of concludes like those main players, but then I want to talk about Max Christie and Scottie Pippen Jr. before we move on. These are two players that obviously we got within this last draft, and while I'm not super happy with Max Christie and his play so far, I think that him and Scottie Pippen Jr. should receive minutes. I don't believe Scottie Pippen Jr. is officially, he has not played for a while for us, but when he did, he had a pretty decent performance, and I think that not just injury wise, everything wise, we should bring him up and give him that look, because I think we'll regret it if we don't. I do think that he is a really talented player who we should take a look at more. And Christie, I think could grow into those positions. So I'm not going to give them a ranking right now because we've not seen enough, but I think there will be rankings in the future. But that wraps up this episode. Thank you guys so much. Again, I'm trying to get some interviews figured out regardless of what that means. So be looking for that in the near future. But regardless, I am going to try my best to stay consistent and give you guys Lakers stuff and whenever you want it. Come on now. We're on episode 7. There's 7 episodes you can listen to. Of course, some of the stuff is in the past. Some of the vibes have changed, but it's all Lakers all the time. You already know. I will look forward to talking to you guys again. And in the meantime, stay safe, have a blessed time, and go Los Angeles Lakers. Talk to you guys soon.